Britain is gradually reawakening, and as we reach closer to the 24-hour mark of this sad announcement of Her Majesty's death, the tributes are still flowing in. Joining me now is the man who helped get Britain out of the clutches of Europe, the wonderful Brexit leader and GB News host, Nigel Farage. Nigel, great to see you. How are you?
Well, sad.
Yeah.
Sad beyond belief. I mean, not just sad because a 96-year-old woman has died. Sad because I'm nearly 60. She's been there for the whole of my life. She's been the constant, in a way, the glue that has held the country together, often through very difficult times. But sad because her passing represents perhaps something we're not going to see again. Honesty, decency, morality, integrity, Christianity, and above all, duty and service. And I very much doubt we will ever see her like again. And I must confess, amongst my sadness, I feel a slight sense of foreboding for what will come afterwards.
Well, Nigel, I share those feelings. I was discussing earlier that I hope King Charles is a very different proposition to Prince Charles. But before we get into that, and I would like your opinions on that, last night you went to Buckingham Palace. You were there with the crowds. What was it like? What was the mood there? Obviously sad, but what was any insights you picked up there?
I mean, I think the Australians think of the English as being very buttoned up, a stiff upper lip, a bit reserved. It was a very emotional scene there last night. Strangely quiet. A large crowd of people, but strangely quiet. And I stepped forward and I put my flowers down and I bowed my head and I looked up, and right behind the gates, I saw the balcony that I'd seen her on just a couple of months ago, the balcony on which she'd appeared as far back as VE Day. We think of these great moments in our history over the last three-quarters of a century. And on that balcony, there was the Queen with Winston Churchill. On that balcony, for her Platinum Jubilee, she was there as the flypast took place. And the thought that we'd never see her there again was very sad.
Now, Nigel, I have to ask you this. I don't know if you'll have an answer for me or not. But at any point, did Queen Elizabeth say to you, take you aside and say, Nigel, well done for getting us out of Europe?
Well, of course, I would never, ever report anything said to me directly on political matters. But let's put it like this. Her husband was far less shy about sharing his feelings. And for the Queen, I mean, it was leaked by Nick Clegg, who at the time was Deputy Prime Minister. The Queen was in favour of Brexit. I'll tell you the reason. The reason was our membership of the European Union had dragged us away from our friends, our relations, people in Australia, people in the wider Commonwealth. We were effectively being taken away from you. We were being asked to turn our backs on you. And the Queen headed the most incredible organisation in human history. Why do I say that? Right from the start of time, mankind has built empires. There are 51 recognised empires. This is the only empire that has transformed into a friendship commonwealth of people. And she oversaw nearly all of that. When she took the throne, India had only recently regained its independence. Much of the map of Africa, was under the British flag. And so really, Brexit made sense because it allowed us to re-engage. And hey, I put this to you, the AUKUS deal, which brings us closer together, would never have happened as members of the European Union.
Absolutely. I agree totally with you there, Nigel. Now, you also spoke to Donald Trump, a good friend of yours, on your GB News show. I hope you don't mind. I just want to play a little clip of that and then get your response to that.
When you think that the first Prime Minister that she met was Winston Churchill, that she herself wore uniform in World War II, I mean, it's almost beyond belief, isn't it?
Well, it is. And, she would stay out of controversy. And, there was always controversy with the family, perhaps, but she was so brilliant. And I'll never forget, I'd say, who was your favorite president? And she'd say, why, I liked them all. I liked every one of them. I said, no, but who did you like the best? Well, actually, I liked them all.
I love that photo, Nigel, of the Queen and Donald Trump together. That's absolute gold. There's been outpourings, from all around the world, obviously. So give us your thoughts on the Queen standing with, well, American presidents, with leaders from all around the world. Do they envy that sort of the British monarchy?
I want to share a story with you first, if I can. So Donald Trump in 2018 came to the UK for his state visit, his official state visit. He went to Buckingham Palace. He inspected the guard. He had tea with the Queen. He stayed for much, much longer than anybody had anticipated. So they clearly had a good conversation. And about 2 hours after he'd been to see the Queen, my phone rang. And it was Donald Trump. He said, "Hey, Nigel." He said, "I've just been to see the Queen." I said, "I know." He said, "I got to tell you, she's the most tremendous lady." And I thought to myself, Donald Trump was completely overawed by meeting the Queen. And I thought it was amazing. The two most famous people in the world had come together, and he was absolutely excited and blown away by it. And what that tells you is she wasn't just the Queen of England. She wasn't just the head of state in 14 countries, including still Australia. She wasn't just the head of the Commonwealth of Nations with 54 countries, 2.3 billion people living within it. She was to people from all over the world, from all sorts of countries, known as one thing, the Queen. Quite extraordinary. I met people last night outside Buckingham Palace, Norwegians. I met people from Denmark, and they felt she was their Queen as well. And that, I think, is the most astonishing thing, that something about the values, the service, the duty of this woman struck the world. And I genuinely think this morning that the most popular figure in the world passed away yesterday.
Wow, that's extraordinary. Wow. Nigel, can I just ask you briefly, you mentioned that we will not see her like again. I think nobody would deny that. How will King Charles fare? Will he step into the shoes and try and emulate his mother? Or are we looking at a couple of decades of an activist king?
Well, look, Charles and I have had our, shall we say, face-to-face disagreements.
Very good. Yes.
But look, we've always done it very politely. I remember once he was about to give a speech in the European Parliament, and he said to me, "Oh, Nigel," he said, "you're going to hate this." So at least we laughed. At least we laughed about it. No, look, nobody has been better trained for the job of being king than Charles.
Yep.
He's had, since he was 4 years old, he's been getting ready to do this job, and he's now approaching his mid-70s. Charles is a very sensitive person. He's a very caring person, and he's never been frightened of expressing his views. We may agree on some things, we may disagree on others, but he absolutely understands the role of monarchy. He absolutely understands that if he's seen to be political in any way, it would totally damage the monarchy. And I like to think that he is intelligent enough to follow his mother's lead and to stay apolitical. And I hope and pray that's what happens.
Nigel Farage, so great to get your insights on this sad day. And of course, Australians are all looking forward to seeing you out here very shortly on your tour. Thanks so much, Nigel Farage.